Hello everybody. It's that time of the year again when people are thinking about getting their inserts bought or created ready for 2025. Today's video is going to be a little niche. I'm going to look at ways that a week on 2-page diary layouts are designed, often with their inherent weaknesses, and then move on to show a layout that I designed for my diary for 2025. So that you can see how I've sought to overcome those weaknesses. And at the end of the video, I'll look at some of the lessons I learned from creating my own X47 diary booklet so that you can avoid the same problems I had if this is what you're going to do. A week on 2 pages is a popular layout. I'm looking at A5 here. And there are some common threads in commercial layouts for the way that they've done. First, you need to consider that the design needs to put an odd number of days, 7, onto an even number of pages, 2, and this inevitably leads to compromise. That compromise very often involves squashing Saturday and Sunday into a space that is taken by a single day elsewhere in the week. In my opinion, this is a throwback. It assumes that most of us using paper diaries are office workers, that we all have weekends off. But many people need just as much space to plan their life in those days as for the other days of the week. And of course, not everybody in the world takes the same 2 days off as their weekend. I've never liked that layout choice. I find it presumptuous and arrogant. So if I look at this is an X47 layout. I've taken a few photocopies here. They're not particularly good, but you can see this. We have here the Saturday and Sunday taking up half the space of the weekdays and without the hours here, for example. This is a old Filofax layout, and again, Saturday and Sunday take up half the space of the other days of the week. Here's another Filofax layout. This is a personal size, but you can see Saturday and Sunday have been squashed together, and in this case Sunday has been even further reduced by having the month calendar printed here at the bottom. But it's not necessary to do that. When Filofax were producing the Flex by Filofax diary inserts, they managed quite happily to give each day the same amount of space as you can see here, and they had 3 days on the left, 4 days on the right. And they had this extra space at the top here where you could add notes for the whole week. The second thing to consider is whether to go for a vertical layout or a horizontal day layout. Vertical layouts, for example, this one, they allow enough space to add times. As you can see here, they've added the times along the side here. But those times never cover 24 hours, and they cover what is presumed to be the most common working day times, which again is not any way covering reality for many people who work, for example, shifts. Of necessity, therefore, because it's vertical, the columns are narrow, so you are limited to how much you can write. This layout may work if you have a lot of appointments in the day, and each appointment is described by just a few words, for example, doctor, or board meeting, or call Fred. But then the moment you need to write more, such as meet Fred at the Starbucks near Piccadilly Circus, take IT report, then however small you write, you end up covering a much larger amount of time in the layout as you intend to. If you have fewer appointments and you need to write more, a horizontal layout works better. So we look at something like, this is a horizontal layout. Here you have to write your own times, which gives you extra flexibility, but maybe the layout is not as structured or, good looking, as it were. It gives you more flexibility, and you write in your own appointment, and you have much more space to write what you need to write. You also need to consider whether there is space for daily to-dos. Those are to-dos which have no times attached, things like people's birthdays, put out the rubbish, buy milk. Some layouts leave a lot of space for these for the whole week. So in this case, for example, we have weekly to-dos can be added here. But noting that you need to feed Fred cats as a weekly task instead of a day task is not the best thing. And I find that these tasks are generally fixed to a day and not just to a week. If we look at something like the X47 layout, they leave a lot of space at the bottom here for those weekly tasks, much more space than they leave for the daily tasks, which is just basically these two lines here. And these two lines, sometimes one line is used to tell you that there is a national holiday. So then you only have actually one place to book one single day to do. And it's just not enough. There are often other compromises in layouts if you buy them. They may, for example, cover national holidays in countries that you're not associated with, but not in countries that you do need to know about. And if you buy Filofax's current offerings, you'll find them covered with little QR codes for use with their phone app. I won't go into why this is so stupid, but it does show again how out of touch Filofax is with their user base. If you create your own layout, it takes a bit of effort, but it can give you a diary that fits your requirements exactly, and that's the advantage of them. What I have noticed that with these layouts, even in booklet diaries, designers have never thought to use both sides of the page for a single day. I have. So let me show you the layout I have for 2025. Let me put these to the side. And here we have it. I use a horizontal layout, and I use both sides of the paper across the middle ring or staple point for each day. When I was using rings, I had the diary part on the right and this on the left because I'm right-handed. I've reversed this for the time being for this booklet because I can write across the middle without any problems, but I may reverse that in future. Each day has exactly the same amount of space, and I've taken dates, important holidays for countries I have links to, and daily events like birthdays from an Excel spreadsheet through mail merge. And actually the preparation of that spreadsheet is what takes most of the time when I'm making my inserts anyway. Though all the days have the same space, I do sometimes need reminding that there are days when my colleagues do not work. So I have distinguished the weekend here in Germany with this red line. This circle here is to mark off the day. On the right hand side, I have days, but no dates. That makes it easier to print, because when you're printing the layout to make a booklet, it takes a little bit of thought to get because you're doing both sides, you want to make sure that everything flows. Or the weeks are week 1, week 2, week 3 as you turn the pages, because things have to be reversed and folded. So it takes a bit of thought. It's easier if you don't have dates on that side as well. And I have on this right hand side, I have a box here for me to mark my better half's shift times. And this is a great advantage when you're making your own inserts. You can put down what you need and not what some other company thinks you may need. I have my Tekuliak circles, which allow me to show activity load for each day. This is my own personal system. I'll add a link in the comments to how this system works. And then I have these boxes to allow me to put in daily tasks which have no time attached, such as putting out the rubbish. And I can mark them off when they're done. There is space at the top here should I need to add small post-it notes or weekly untimed to-dos or any other notes, should I need those. So I've just mocked up a typical week so you can see how this works. And it's pretty scruffy because that's how I do things. So I've put in some appointments. I just write in the times, I write in the appointments. It's very rough and ready, as you can see. I cross off the days which have been. I have just a post-it note here. This is not the post-it, these are not the post-it notes I would normally use. Let me try and show you those because they're brilliant little things. I generally use these Chiban Techno Mini notes, which are just brilliant. They'll stick forever. They're lovely. They look great on in the page. They're small, as you can see, so that I can plop them anywhere on an A5. So yeah, I don't use this is just to show you, but I would normally use these if I needed to put in a post-it note or similar into the system. I put in the shift times here. I've filled in the times when I need to block out, just as a visual overview of when I cannot be doing anything else because I have an appointment at this time, or when I need to be available but the time's not blocked out. And then I have these daily to-dos which do not have a fixed time, and I can cross these off as they go. So this is the sort of thing that works for me. Great thing about making your own inserts is you can make something that works for you, but it is a little bit more work, of course. So having designed, mail merged and printed the layouts, I created 2 X47 booklets for 2025, and it took a couple of attempts. So here, this is the current with the red, this is the current bought insert, and this is the insert I made for the first half of 2025. So let me just take that out so I can show you what it looks like. Now, what you need to consider with the X47 is the folder itself is A5, but so this folder is A5 exactly, but the inserts, obviously because they're fitting onto a spine, are slightly smaller than A5, so they will need significant trimming. To take this into account, and also considering the amount of trimming that's needed from the edges because of the way you fold the pages, bring the margins in more than you would normally do. So let me make that clearer. How have I done this? Okay, so when you make, when you fold something, and I haven't trimmed this so I can show this to you, you can see that the pages in the center stick out more, obviously, because there's the thickness of the paper here that pushes them this way. So when you come to trim, you have to trim quite a lot off of the edges. And when you see here how I try to trim, you can see it's right along the edge of the calendar, because my margins were too close to the edge. I hadn't thought about this. And as you get further to the back, you'll see that the two pages get closer and closer together because the middle margins weren't quite big enough either. So you need to leave a little bit of space for the margins, a little bit more space. So this needs a little bit of experimentation. Use a good quality thin paper or up to 100 GSM paper. Don't use 80 GSM copy paper. In my opinion, it's not, the quality isn't good enough. Certainly not if you're using a fountain pen. I did try initially to use 120 GSM paper, which is this one, but it's just slightly too thick because X47 system requires the inserts to be fairly thin, which is why you have only 6-month inserts. So I found 120 GSM too thick. 100 GSM worked for me. Or you can buy some better quality thinner paper, lighter paper, I should say. Don't forget that when you print this, you will often need an extra sheet. So it's already quite complicated working out how to print this. But your last week will need just the right-hand page on its own printed without the accompanying date, because this one would, the back end of this sheet is at the front, is here. So you need an extra sheet here just for this to provide you with the right-hand sheet for this last page. So this is something to think about when you're printing. I found that you get better alignment if you staple the center before folding. So what I did first is I folded this over, and then I tried to staple through the back in a straight line. It's not easy to do. It's easier if you keep it unfolded, mark exactly where the center is, staple on that center line, and then fold. You get a better result. Use a good guillotine. You can see here how I have messed up with this experimental version, because this is a lot of paper to be guillotining. So you need to either have a very good guillotine paper cutter, or you need to cut in small segments. As you can see here, I completely messed up, but I kept this here to show you what happens if you're not, your guillotine isn't the best. And when you're putting on these, this attachment here, which you need on X47 to attach it inside the folder, if you want to know, it starts and ends 1.9, no, that's not right, 1.9 centimeters, so 19 millimeters from the top and 19 millimeters from the bottom of the booklet. So you can measure exactly where it needs to go to fit into the booklet. So that's, as you can see, this is my second half of the year for the first half of the year for 2025. You can see I have moved the margins so that I have a proper margin here, and I aligned the staples better so that it fits in. And I'm going to be testing this, but I think this is the sort of thing that will work for me. So this has been a bit of a wander through my workings for creating 2025 diary inserts and general thoughts about layouts. If you have any questions or comments, please let me know. Otherwise, I hope you found that useful, and take care.